Live. All right, baby. Hmm. What is up? Ford Group, thanks for joining. I'm going to go ahead and give folks some time. Welcome. Thank you for coming along. Thanks for joining me on this wonderful Friday evening. Grab your favorite drink, whatever your sinful pleasure may be this Friday afternoon, and let's go ahead and kick it off, go into the weekend with some good vibes, and hopefully those vibes will spread across the universe far and wide. That's right. We're on this channel promoting positivity, wellness, spiritual health. No, I'm kidding. Totally kidding. But if you get that out of this channel, then by all means, credit me in anything you write about it or talk about it. Because, all right, here we are on Friday waiting for folks to join in. And it's just a minute until we got 4:20. I don't know. My clocks are all different. I always go by my UTC clock in the Rooster Patch, so I know where I'm starting from. And it's an atomic clock, so it stays synchronous. I don't know. It's probably a word that starts with sync in it. All right. Let's see here. So thanks for joining. Again, if you are joining us here after work, on your way home from work, somehow you're watching, I don't know where, don't care. Thanks for being here. Happy to have you join us. We are kicking off this whole live stream thing here with the videos. That's why we're doing this. So I'm giving away one free radio that's programmed for wherever you may be. I'm giving away a t-shirt. I'm giving away a seat into the class that's coming up here in July. So we got folks filling in. Those seats are filling in. So that's good. We got a good, healthy start to registration. I encourage you to check it out. There's a website either on the website bio link tree, or you can find it on my YouTube channel. I know I have it linked there somewhere, but check it out. It's worth a look as far as piquing your interest in what it is we're actually doing in that class and why it's even a class. Frankly, I think that we spend very little bit of time on some very broad topics, and I think radio is kind of secondary to that, but also at the same time we learn how to apply these everyday common tools and use them in our preparedness plans. So for designing communications plans for our families, we can build that up and actually apply it and have something to train to. It's one thing to have equipment and watching how to do it on YouTube, put in your bag, great, we're good to go. But at the same time, are you actually getting out there and practicing with it? I had a chance. I don't know if anybody's watching from the USAL family. If you are, thank you, USAL family. It was actually, I think it was USAL that actually gave me one of the shots up there as far as doing the class for them and opening it up to family members and other students. And the feedback there was good. Gave me more encouragement to continue doing it. So shout out to USAL, but I think I brought them up. I forgot why. It'll come back to me. But in any case, thanks for joining. We'll kick off here. I know it's 4:20. Some of you are already either on your way home from work. Some of you are still working. Bless my Sailor Navy family out there. Probably those on duty. You're on the quarterdeck. Sucks, but if you have your phone, thanks for joining. We can talk about all kinds of things here. But anyway, the reason I think I was talking about the sweepstakes, and the reason I brought up why I was doing these videos, getting back to that, I think that's where I was going, is that we're giving away these prizes. It's very simple to enter to win. Yeah, like, share, subscribe, tag your three friends, comments. I think there's a lot of folks already kind of doing that. But at the end of the month, we're going to do like I think the randomizer. We're going to throw those people in there, and out of the folks that, done all that, they'll pick a winner. We'll announce that winner July 11th, and you could be walking away with a Battlefield Radio program for repeaters in your area. That's cool. And, basic weather stuff we talked about. Yeah, simple things to do. But also, entry into the class, which gets you the practical skills and knowledge you'll need to actually use that when it's needed. You also have some kits personally made by me. I don't have an Etsy store or anything, but if I had like an Etsy store, it's where I put that kind of stuff, like radio cards, um, things like that. But any case, yeah. So it's real easy to get in. It's real simple to win. We're like I said, we'll announce the winner on July 11th, and that's why we're doing these videos. So we'll, once we announce the winner, it'll probably be a break between there. But I know I'm giving classes away all year long, and we do giveaways for lots of other stuff too. So stay tuned. Also, excuse me. On top of that, part of the advantages of these things going on is we're opening the mesh net on Fridays for those who are joining in on the Meshtastic devices that we kind of cover. There's a huge area in San Diego that is networked with Meshtastic nodes all over, so we're very fortunate to have Meshtastic so popular in San Diego. So I encourage you to check out that website if you haven't, meshtastic.org. And it's real simple to get into the game, guys. You could, any online distributor of your choice, the Jungle site, I guess you can buy it from there. And it's like, some pretty decent out the door kits, probably around, what, the $60 to $80 range there, depending on kind of like what you're getting with that, or what you're doing with that, or what brand, I think. There's been some new brands that are kind of coming along with this. I know Spec 5, I think, is very popular. Rack's getting into the mesh game, I think. Well, mesh, their Rack is the whiz blocks for your nodes. They also have all the enclosures you need if you're doing like a solar node that you're putting up in a tree somewhere. I have mine above the trailer. That's there we go. Mine's above the trailer, which I can get a pretty decent range out of mine. Let me go ahead and fix this camera. You're seeing my boom. Oh no, the moon landing was fake. They saw a boom mic coming from the ceiling. I'm kidding. I don't know. Is that real? Hey, comment below if you think that's real. That's a thing, I suppose, that the footage is faked in a studio somewhere. But we went. Okay, the government's not. They're not going to lie to us about that one. Okay, we're gonna take that one. At least me. I'm talking about the boomers because frankly, I think there's some compelling evidence out there that we did not. Wow, right? It's crazy. Thanks for joining us on this Friday. We're diving right into conspiracy theories. You heard it here. Conspiracy theories first. We'll talk about them. They're fun. They're fun. They're a lot of fun. And then you start seeing the ones that are like, they're not fun because they're true. And then you're like, oh no. Oh no. Why would they lie about that? Are they lying about something now? It should be pretty, I think we need to be a little bit more judicious in who we're sending to DC. I don't know. Something happens. Maybe when they cross was it the Alexandria River or something, or the Potomac, something happens. Like there's like this energy that just sucks somebody's soul into this like vapid culture of demonic entities that are just like purely just evil driven, that just, they don't care about anything other than making money and like whatever's going on in their brain about like family and dynasty and power and blah blah blah. I have no idea, but those people become vapid, brain dead. I hate to say it, guys, but etards, right? When it comes to like preserving our liberty, not growing our government to a point where we're like, pressed to a point where in California, you guys can speak up for me here as far as $8 gas. That's oppressive, especially when you have to drive so far to work. Man, these guys that are living up in Menifee, driving down to San Diego in their Chargers, woo, they're going to have to start giving like a gas ration or a gas allowance for those sailors. Because I know that, BAH is never enough, right? I think they're getting like $5,000 now for E5 and above. You're getting like $5,000 or something for rent. Whoa, that's a whole nother podcast, Instagram live. Anyway, so going back to the whole point of this thing. So I'll be doing these periodically throughout the year. I hope we enjoy them. They're gonna be a lot of fun. Talk about a lot of crazy things, moon landings or not. We'll talk about conspiracies. We'll talk crap about politicians because they're horrible, right? I mean, anybody following today's news can tell you that the Senate, my goodness. So we have the Senate there. It's a majority of Republicans, and we have the Senate president, J.D. Vance, and we have a parliamentarian that is appointed that has said the rules for reconciliation. This provision does not meet criteria under the Byrd rule, right? And pick your poison, because if you want to hold precedent, they've held precedent on the Byrd rules on several occasions. In fact, it's kind of customary now to uphold, between two parties. I don't know, but the Democrats have. It'd be an analogy like this. It'd be like launching rockets at Iran from an unnamed country, and then the retaliation of Iran to that unnamed country. The unnamed country will be the first to call victim. And I think that's kind of what the same thing is there, if you follow. Anyway, where was I? Politicians, right? They're terrible. The big beautiful bill, the one that still has the land buy-off provision in it. They're selling our public lands. For those in San Diego County, you should be fairly concerned, because some of those areas that they're proposing, at least by the GIS map they snapshot of sent some screenshot, it highlights some of that East County area that I know folks like to go to. I think some of that's private anyway, with the mines and stuff, but there's the federal land there. It's adjacent to all the state park land. Say goodbye to your shooting ranges, guys. Your free shooting ranges, right? Why go out there and train? Or do anything on public land. That's our land. That's the whole reason. It's to prevent people from coming in and preventing others from enjoying our natural resources. And there's a whole thing, the hunters, there's a hunter thing to it. Go watch Yellowstone. I think it's pretty clear in that whole thing. There's always going to be these greedy sons of bitches that'll come, crush you. Government or private enterprise, don't matter. It's the same thing sometimes. All right, where were we? Sweepstakes, we covered that. Check it out, man. Free radio. All you got to do is like, share, subscribe, tag your friends, mention me in your stories. We're going to give away a radio. Got one free radio here. Okay, program for repeaters in your area. Okay, and like I said last time, one of these dope AF Do You Even Comms Bro t-shirts. This is pretty sick. I wore this at the gun show the other day, and people were saying how much they love my shirt. They like my shirt. Thought I was going to say something else. They like my shirt. All right, and intro to off-grid communications. You get a free seat in that. That'd be a great value. I mean, like I said, you walk out of the way with the radio and the tools and the skills that you need to operate in the event of emergency. So let's get right into it, guys. We had a lot of things happen this week. All right, a lot of things to go through, but I won't stay to the high level main events, although some of those are fun to watch. Obviously, I'm talking about the whole thing with the budget now, the whole thing with the Iranian strikes. I got Tucker Carlson ranting. Alex Jones is screaming. Okay, Rogan hasn't had Bernie on. My goodness. All right. Hey, that was an interesting one. Go listen to that. All right. If you find yourself being, there's, regardless of the vision, there's still a notion that something's wrong in Denmark, guys. All right. I think both left and right people kind of smell that, by now. It's what do we do about it? I think that's the discussion I think we ought to be having, is now that we all know it's pretty gay, right? I don't know. Some do, some don't. Some recognize it for what it is and believe it, in their whole hearts that you're going to go to Washington D.C. and make a difference. I mean, go watch that Jimmy Stewart movie. I think it's something goes to Washington. I forgot the name. Yeah, somebody put it in the comments, but basically, it's this whole storyline of this guy, this farm boy, this good-natured person. I forgot the whole storyline. I think there's some analogies to, anyway, going into the storyline. He gets there and he just gets destroyed by all these demons, these evil, greedy church, like evil demons, and they just start breaking him down. Anyway, he gives this great speech at the end. And it's like kind of makes you go, oh, America's an idea, but it's an important one, right? Because it's the only thing holding back the powers that be from taking everything from you and me. Hey. All right, so lots to get through today. Like I said, I'm not going to stay around the high main events, but yeah, I wanted to follow up with something from the couple weeks ago. We had the over on 30th Street in South Park, we had the ice raid, right? All right, so it's like didn't really occur to me what was going on there, or any further research. Kind of, I wanted to know exactly why that place, out of all places, and just wanted to figure out what it was. But anyway, who's got the time to dive into this stuff? Look it up, all this, who owns what and what they're paying money to, and this and that. But there is somebody who is, and I forgot the page, but I'll credit it here in the video, I think somewhere. But shout out to who, if I can remember, I'll put it in the video. But I saw that somebody dove in a little bit further who the owner was. So Matteo Cataneo, right, is married to a doctor, Dr. Colmayer, all right, and she's big into the whole pharmaceutical world. All right, she's got patents on immunity research, things like that, and big wig with like Johnson and Johnson, I guess you can say. Anyway, and they got like this big fancy house in Coronado. It's like a historic home, so tax write-offs, whatnot. They did some digging on these people. Anyway, long story short is I guess they had some issues with labor law recently, and they're kind of going through litigation and labor issues with respect to like the employment of their people, like green card issues, those types of things. So like they're legitimately have like the courts involved already for quite a time. It sounds like quite some time. Since 2022, these people have been involved with like San Diego County Superior Court, or higher, I think, now with the feds involved, right? So there was definitely something cooking in terms of like and I'm saying this because the emotional side of the mob took over with the anti-ice raids, right? But then when somebody starts to dive into why this particular place, you find out that they're not treating their employees well. They're some would say this is kind of like the predatory employer out there that's looking to pay people under the table so they don't have to pay, obviously, the labor tax on that to the state. I mean, we all get it, but then some people go further than that, and they don't give them any kind of like anything. So I mean, to each their own. I think folks out there are willing to deal with that, right? It's the old way. But at the same time, like, there's a lot of people out there that are getting raped by the state and county on paying all this garbage to prop those people up. Let's be real, and pay for all this homeless stuff, all these taxes, all these things in the state, and the county here. So keep that in mind when you're like, something's going on. It might be a little bit more than what meets the eye. All right. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. Speaking of budgets, let's talk about the budget. I don't know if you guys knew, San Diego County approved the budget. $8.63 billion budget with the B. $8.63 billion budget for San Diego. Interesting, right? It's a whew, big bills out there, guys. Big bills. I'm sure you got bills to pay. All right. Well, the state's going to say $8.63 billion is going to help, primary initiatives in the bill or in the budget, address homelessness, our fentanyl crisis, things like that. All the buzzwords that they campaigned on. You kind of see it written here in policy. That's what the staff does. They take policy, or they take the vision of the public servant, and they draft it into garbage like this that represents a huge increase. Well, was it 1.2% increase? But it's not going down. It's going up, which means more people. And on that note, what the hell is a staff year, and why are we reporting it as a staff year? Please, any of my accountant friends out there, if you know what a staff year is and why it's reported as a staff year, I'd like to know. I didn't really dive into that. I mean, it used to be staff personnel, a 1-for-1 position and a seat. I mean, that's how contracts work still. So I don't know what the staff year is, but it smells like bullshit. Ways to use it or lose it budgeting, even better. So anyway, the staff years right now for the county are like 191, or that's the goal. They want to cut it down to 191 staff years in San Diego County. So this budget's looking to get lean but fierce on funding all this blah blah blah. Anyway, I just blah blah blah. My mistake. Right now, the total staff year is 20.2 thousand staff years. So I'm assuming that means people that work for the San Diego County government. So it's 20K sounds fairly reasonable to assume that's a big batch of people. But I think they're trying to reduce that by 191 staff years. So they're trying to bring it lower than 20,000 right now. And most of that, from what I read, is about, they're not filling empty vacancies right now. You got it. Thanks, brother. Put it there. Let's go. I love this interactive Friday stuff, man. Let's all get smart. And it's fun. It's Friday, so who cares, right? So yeah, talking about San Diego, we'll get off our budget here in just a second. I just thought it was important, and I think the San Diego County Sheriff's got an increase in their budget too. I think it's like $13 million increase or something like that. I could be wrong, but they're getting a lot more money to address their issues and staff more positions there. So you would think that might help with CCW permit processing. Which let's be honest, San Diego's not doing a terrible job. We're getting a lot of folks through. I say we, but I mean San Diego. I live here, but San Diego's getting a lot of folks through. Could they be like Riverside? Sure. I think Riverside is trying to set the example for that. Of course, that's Chad Bianco up there, and he's running for governor now. So he's doing good. Soon we'll hopefully see if that out of state or out of county resident CCW permit is a thing in Riverside. So I'm looking forward to seeing that happen. But San Diego's not far behind. And then Orange County and those things like that. They're giving applications out pretty regularly. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, a CCW is the permit you go to the county to apply for, because get this, all states in the nation, their sheriffs are generally going to be like their permitting um, entity or organization for managing the any permitting process associated with public safety, right? So that's why it would be the sheriff's office. And in our state, it's no different. Department of Justice mandates that on the sheriff's departments to manage their licensing. And so if you're, liberty and fair, good citizen, and you have a good head on your shoulders, and you can own a gun in California, you can simply just go online right now in San Diego, mind you, but you can go online probably generally anywhere, apply for the permit, pay the fee, and then just kind of get in line. And I say that to say that it's going to keep getting more expensive. It's going to keep getting more burdensome, for the anti-gunners out there. They do not want you to have guns, or self-defense is, you're right, but they don't want you to have it. These are the same people that are surrounded by bodyguards, armed bodyguards. So, but you, peasant, you don't need a gun. Like you're too stupid. Let's be real. Government has to manage these things for you. Like, so just let the police do it. Okay. Like, let the cops do it. Like, why are y'all tactical kitted out? Like, all right. I'm going to shut up on that note, but just talking about the budget, and Bianco running for governor, which brought up another thing. I don't know if you guys saw, Kamala Harris is thinking about running for governor of California. I think we all kind of smelled it last year, but now it's out there. Reports are saying she's exploring running for California governor. And why not? We got all 48 of 58 counties have Dominion tabulating machines. So why not? I'm not saying I'm not going to go diving into that one, but it's fair to say that that's pretty suspicious. I don't know, but I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there, but who's to say, right? Go out there and vote. July 1st, we got a special election here in California. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, I can't wait for her to win either. We got a special election here coming up in San Diego. So if you're a San Diego County resident, I think the first district, we had a supervisor resign last year, and we're having a special election now to fill that. So obviously we got some extremists in there. Both, I don't know, McCann, he's a Navy veteran, but who cares? Frankly, I don't care if they're veterans these days, because we saw what that meant when we had John Hemmerling last 2 years ago now, where we saw this guy coming in riding on a carpet of gun violence restraining orders, and he wanted to put that here in San Diego. I think correct me if I'm wrong, I think he drafted the gun violence restraining order policy for Los Angeles County. I think he's a draftee on that, or one of the endorsed members. But I would just say that it doesn't matter what flag you're flying. It's what you got underneath. I think we're more interested in nowadays. I think we're seeing that loud and clear with the Republican Party, guys. What a disappointment. I mean, I don't want to keep harping on, but we got a majority party, and they're being held off by this appointed lowly parliamentarian in the Senate, and they're going to be like, oh no, we better not. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. He's right. A lot of veterans are not on the Pro 2A side. Yeah, keep that in mind too, because everyone's got an opinion, and that's fair. This is why it's called America, and this is why we're the melting pot. So don't just assume that somebody in the military that wore that uniform is automatically going to be liberty minded or Second Amendment conscious, period, because for the majority of them, they're stationed in areas and states they don't care about because they're only there for a few years, so they don't stay interested in local politics. They could care. Home politics is even worse because they're away, so they have to wait on absentee ballots, and then the hearsay, what mom and dad are saying back home about this local thing going on where they live. So, like I said, anyway, don't just assume veteran is a good thing or bad thing. Just they're human beings. All right. Some are just a little bit more safety conscious, I guess. But no, that's a huge subversion and undermines the 14th Amendment. Gun violence restraining order should be where you say, no, thank you. Hoorah down in the street, buddy, because nobody's going to eat those crowns. Like, seriously, I don't care where you come from. You can be I don't care who you are, Delta Force, nothing, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. Okay. Let's get that clear. All right. Then I don't care at all. Don't vote for anybody pushing gun violence restraining orders. So, and Texas, by the way, just passed theirs. Governor Abbott just signed their banning of gun violence restraining orders. So go Texas. Let's see. We had ice in San Diego on Tuesday. I don't know what happened to all that. Right? I think looked like all the folks that were anti-ice maybe cooled off a bit. Although we're still seeing some organizing activity take place on Instagram. Those folks are still putting the flyers where to go and where to be. So they're still trying to organize. But I think it's interesting. We got feds in town, and it's awfully quiet. All the feds are basically here going through our drawer, our underwear drawer, and we're just taking it. That's kind of how they feel. And you know what? There's something to be said for that. I think there's been a lot of commentary on the fact that the revolutionary left, whatever, is out there doing things, regardless of their vision and goal. They're active, they're organizing, they're engaging, and they're funded and stuff in many cases. But it's a fair point to point out that when you look on I guess the right, as far as any of that, you don't see anybody organizing, doing any rallies or anything like that, or there's nothing like that at all. Period. And frankly, like nobody's wasting time on donating money to these organizations that are, stopping some of this lunacy coming out of Sacramento. I mean, donations are down, volunteerism is down, so it's like, I don't know, man. If the history goes to the winner, right? So doesn't seem like we're interested in winning and being part of history. If you're on the right, I guess I don't consider myself right or left. I'm I just want to make George Washington proud. That's it. If he's around, I just want to make whatever he would think would be cool. That's what I'm down with. Yep, absolutely. So go out there and do the things that make George Washington proud, guys. That's all I can tell you. Let's see here. Let me go to the other page here. We got some good things. So radio related things, or at least OSINT related things. We had big week for gpsjam.org. If you're not checking them out, if you don't know who they are, it's a website that monitors GPS jamming. And it's, just like I described last week with the software defined radio and FlightAware, it's a user driven initiative where people are reporting on, yeah, where people are reporting where GPS jamming is occurring. And so that's an intelligence resource you have, open source right now, internet based, but we got indications and warning that the Straits of Hormuz were being GPS jammed over the week when we saw the strikes occurring. So not only do we have posturing, I guess you could say forced movement with the B2s, that whole faint thing going on with the East Pack or West Pack with the B2s in Diego, and then the others coming out of the East Coast here. That was interesting. So we saw a lot of that going on through software defined radio. And that's where I think radio is starting to shine, or at least show people like the capability of being able to harness organic organic information to fuse together a picture. This is just caught all these bombers going this way. What are they doing? It's, and then you can look at a map, and then things just be kind of at that point. But what I'm pointing at is it's not the news. It's not, news is playing catch up. If you're watching anything on a big screen, anything from a cable network, your time late already, in that regard. Twitter's already put it out. There's people out there that's it, the news ends up catching up to what's going on probably on social media. That's, let's be honest, Telegram right now is kind of putting out a lot of good journalism. I think people are still trying to get some of that raw information out there, and Telegram's one. There's so many. I'm just using the one that comes to mind first, but I know secure comms, and your stuff can be looked at. But we talk about alternative ways to connect as well in intro to off-grid communication. So if you're interested in encrypted comms, digital syncing with your bros or your neighbors, without a cell tower, we can do that for you and show you how. Let's see, California. Oh, well, should I move on from that? Yeah, I think we're done. Which I was just going to point out, the Straits of Hormuz, that thing with the when they were talking about voting on mining it, they were going to mine the Straits of Hormuz and shut it down, which should obviously drive up global shipping and all this and that. But I think that was going on a couple days ago when people were kind of worried where the retaliation was going to happen from Iran after the strikes or whatnot. But it was interesting to see, though, that when there is a GPS jamming activity noted or located in the region, is that an indication of warning? Is that something our own intelligence community and stuff is monitoring out there? I think they do. I mean, and we have, tons of, at least in my day, we called them battle groups. My nose is so itchy. We called them battle groups, but now we got strike groups, carrier strike groups, whole commands out there on these carriers out there, bunch of them. They're in the region, so they're watching too, and shore sites. But I just thought it was interesting that somebody pointed out to me that we've been doing this a bunch already up to now. Obama did it, these precision drone strikes. Like it's no big deal. But I'll point to this, and I'll point to this to get you to think. If it was no big deal, and we should all just kind of carry on, it was a good thing, right? Why were U.S. cities on high alert following the attack? And that just brings up my operational risk management thing that went through my head. It's like there was a planning meeting. There was a bunch of people staring at some charts, some data, and they at some point they talked about risk. Sir, there's going to be risk. The risk to this, the risk to that. I'd like to know where the risk to all major U.S. cities fell into that matrix. And if it was weighed, I'd like to see that. That would be interesting, because frankly, I think that Israel was already working on they were already working on alternatives. They had already announced that they would strike in the absence of U.S. direct involvement. Those were press release statements. Those are things that ambassadors and representatives of the Israeli government are saying. So the involvement there, which I think was already a farce, we were already involved despite otherwise, I think, already at that point. So hard to say how far this goes back. I think probably goes back a few weeks, probably earlier now. Oh, my nose stops itching. All right, now we can move on. California is kicking off its no-touch phone rule. I don't know if you guys are out there or even know of this one, but California's no-touch phone law is now in full effect. So what that law basically says is if you're on your phone anyway, no matter what, even if you're talking to it, speakerphone or whatever, no, you cannot have your hands on your phone. All right, give me a huge break on this one, guys, because if you can't touch your phone, but you have a wireless headset, I mean, or like it just seems like more BS to throw a charge at somebody that they don't like. I don't know. Cop pulls over somebody, they're not feeling it. It could go two ways. I'm sure. If there's any law enforcement in the live, let me know. But I'm sure this could always go two ways. I'm just gonna find whatever penal code I can put on this guy, throw a charge, ticket, whatever. I don't care. I'm gonna get something that'll stick. Like multiple. How do you think they get people on the DUIs? It's like multiple charges, like lane use. It's a whole thing. It's like they want that one to stick because that's revenue, baby. I don't know. It's not a quote or anything. officially, but there's a lot of money that goes into the hands of pockets of lawyers and judges and all that good stuff. Those songs, those ones are out there. They're true. They still have them. That's still a thing. Never went away. But anyway, I digress. All to say that, or you can let the guy off. Up to you. But California's no touch phone rule is in a full effect. So don't touch your phones while driving. It's dangerous. You're going to kill somebody and hurt those you love around you. I thought this was interesting. We're going to move on, change gears, switch directions. I thought this was interesting about the drone jammer that was captured on the Mexican border. There was branches of like the Sinaloa cartel, and I don't know. I guess there was like this anyway. So they capture these guys, or they find these guys, and they recover some of like their cache that they were there with, and it was like this guy had a portable GPS jammer, and it's pretty gnarly. It's like a backpack with, it looks like a bunch of multi-band antennas, probably within that 2.4 to 5 gigahertz range of it's just pure jamming. It's just like a huge battery, bunch of antennas just jamming the crap out of 2.4 gigahertz. And I saw the photo of it, and it had a DJI sticker on it, but apparently there's multiple manufacturers of this, from China. China manufactures these. So I think if you have about 1.5 or $3,000, $1,500 to $3,000, excuse me, you could probably buy one, and have that jamming capability. But I don't think we're going to be getting those anytime soon. Probably already sold out. I haven't even checked. Check out in the comments below. Is portable drone jamming on? Hit that shopping tab. See if it's out there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's about $3,000. All right, there you go. Thanks, guys. So that's an interesting development. Cartel using drones and drone jamming, and so I think we're kind of seeing the evolution of drone warfare right here at the border region. And I think it's interesting that if let's say you're trying to monitor, things like down at the border, there's multiple things that are preventing you from doing that unless you're actually visually putting eyeballs on the border. You got GPS jamming now. You got drone jamming. So I think that's interesting, the evolution of modern day equipment. So if you're out there and you're building TTP and you're using drones, I just want these things to come to the forefront of your mind about what to counter with. So there's always a way to counter something where there's an advantage, right? So that drone warfare, or drones themselves, have allowed people to cross immense distances rather quickly, or the case of FPV drones, first person view drones, you can arm them with munitions and get pretty nightmarish results, right? So if anybody's following Telegram, those things are horrific. Or don't do that. Just don't watch them. Go to bed with clean conscience. You don't have to see them. Anyway, I digress. So drone warfare, the cartels are advancing their tactics. They resemble a lot of things that I saw even last year we were working on with drone technology and drone communication network building, and establishing that C2, that architecture of command and communications between user, drone operator, and then in the case of like CQB, you're having like all your folks that were maintaining security, and you were flying this thing around the corners. So I mean, it was definitely in the regard with respect to like CQB and law enforcement application. I think FPV drones is gnarly, because you saw the value. You can see the value instantly, like in data tactics with moving or pushing left or right, or holding a door and things like that, or even advancing forward in a P-way. If you just send the drone, it's easy. It's $1,000. Nobody, and everyone gets to go home, and somebody's in there that's shooting at you. So just throw it all at them. I guess for the Marines, they'd probably frag them out or something. I don't know. Put in the comments below. What are you going to do in that CQB situation? Because everyone's got an opinion on CQB. Please tell me what that is in the comments. And let me see, put an emoji, put an ice cream emoji if you are all about that CQB life. We can talk about it, brother. Ice cream emoji in the comments below if you are about CQB. We can talk about it. All right, moving on. And then that border stuff. So that brought me to another point with, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the Pentagon's establishing another national security region down by the border. So that's like two more. We're actually adding two more down by Arizona and Texas. So they're actually expanding the national boundary line, and they're using the bases, I think the military bases, to expand those boundaries to create national defense areas of interest. So that's interesting. So, our own federal government is established new boundaries that are for national defense around the border. And of course, it's the application is for the border and the border operations down there as they expand. So with the expansion of those territories comes new laws and provisions that allow the federal government to do things that are not necessarily prohibited through posse comitatus application or understanding of the federal government's role here. So that's a huge deal. So we're crafting unique ways to apply our military to do, some would argue, a policing function, but at this point, the national invasion, those terms are fair and reasonable to use these days. I think most people with a brain saw the last 4 years of just open borders were just no good for anybody. So anyway, yeah. So now we got an expansion of government property. It's always something. It's always what does Rahm Emanuel say? Never, or not even know. Well, he used it. He said, "Don't let a good disaster go to waste." So that's just, when it comes to the government's perspective on things, when they have something to do, they're going to find ways to add it to the budget to do it, and it gets bigger. And then we have things with like what's called staff years. $8.63 billion budget in San Diego. Anyway, I am moving on from that topic. Let's see. There's some other big news out there that happened this week. I don't know if you guys are paying attention with all the other stuff going on, but Carmelo Anthony, remember that? Kid got what's he charged with? First degree? Carmelo Anthony officially charged first degree murder in connection with the Austin Metcalf murder. So I don't know if you guys remember, this whole thing broke out of school. This kid stabbed this guy and then basically kind of got a GoFundMe account, gave him $500,000 because he got out. And it's like, he was the victim, I guess. It was one of those things where it's like, I always use the analogy. It's like, when you go to the toy store and the kids are screaming bloody murder on the floor and they're telling everybody, screaming, my mom's beating me. My mom's beating me. She's beating me. And the kids just pretending to get beat. And then, the mom's looking around like, oh God, that's what all this is. That's what all this is. That's what Black Lives Matter was. That's what this stuff is now. Sorry, that might get me banned. But all this stuff is like, I'm the victim. I'm overreacting victimhood. Right. So, all that to say is Austin Metcalf murdered by Carmelo Anthony. Anyway, he officially charged first degree murder. And I think the way they're quantifying the race between these two issues, and I found this interesting or culturally relevant, but the GoFundMe account for Carmelo Anthony is like $530,000 at this level right now, at this point. And then the Austin Metcalf GoFundMe is at $561,000 in GoFundMe donations. So I don't know, is that where we're at? We're measuring GoFundMe accounts against one another. That's how the story reported it. So you tell me, is that a notable piece of information? All right, moving on. Hey, one last thing. Did you guys watch Top Gun Maverick ever yet? All right, I'm going to point that out. Did you guys watch the part at the end where they're going to do a run in this country with a very deep below the mountain nuclear enrichment facility, and they were going to use bunker busters and penetrate it like over and over and pound it, and then that whole mission was just like going into Iran basically, right? Do you guys remember that? Do you guys remember that? I do. Wow, it was almost like they told us or something, right? Like they're just, hey, Hollywood, let them know we're about to go fuck up Iran, and this is how we're going to do it. All right, like just show them. Let Tom Cruise play the lead role. Fuck it. I don't know. Here we go. Let's go. Who made that movie? Was that another? That wasn't Guy Ritchie. Was that the same guys? I can't remember his name right now. The same guy, the same Top Gun guy. I can't remember who made the first one right now. It's drawing a blank. Put in the comments if you let me. Who's the first Top Gun producer that made, and then also the one that made Maverick 2? Because my God, they almost basically gave the blueprint of what just occurred, but with B-2 bombers, Although I'm sure we're going to see that black thing pop around now, aren't we? Is that the 5th gen fighter? I think it was Dark Star. Anyway, isn't that interesting how they do that? I'm saying they, but like is it Hollywood? And the elite. Like, do they plan this stuff out? They go Bohemian Grove, right? It was Bohemian Grove every year. They used to go and plan these things out. Now they had to go move it All right, they probably had him at Epstein's Island or the Diddy parties or something. But now that the Diddy parties are gone, Epstein's Island is, I think, already sold. Was up for auction. Like that thing's gone. So what do they do now? Where are they at? They're out there banging kids. That's what they're doing, and it's sad. But they're doing it somewhere. All right, let's see here. We got some other things to cover. What a busy week. There's been a lot of things. I don't know if you guys were tracking the NATO summit last week, or was it at the beginning of the week? They started with the big NATO summit, so all the countries get together and they talk about how they suck. Hey, what's going on, Thomas? Man, we're chatting, brother. So anyway, just jumping into the NATO summit here. Nothing significant really of note to put out about it, but I did find it interesting that I'm going to say Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and Poland are all going to make this iron curtain of mines through their entire border. They're going to mine the entire border from like way up by the Norwegian Sea all the way down to like Poland, like Eastern Europe, and it's going to be nothing but mines everywhere. Like I don't know. I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and I remember like the mines of like Cambodia and stuff like that. You know, there was like these big, and I think there's still a lot of NGOs out there that are out there recovering mines, but uh, I just think that's fascinating that they're going to align the entire border of basically Eastern Europe from Russia with mines. Like, my goodness, that's what we're doing. We're going to blow people out with the mines. But that's a huge amount of mines, by the way, if you're looking at that border. If you have a map in front of you, go check out what I just said. Poland, Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, and Finland, all the way up. You know, they're basically going to mine that off. So, interesting. That's what something I noted from the NATO summit this week. Let's see here. Other than that, guys, here's some things coming up in San Diego. Like we got BMX Day. I want to say it's July 19th. They're going to be doing it downtown, and then that's Saturday in downtown. Sunday is going to be in Claremont. But check it out, man. That thing's rad. If you're a kid of the 80s and 90s like me, and you rode your BMX, and you're out there trying to jump jumps and do all that stuff, check out BMX Day, man. It's rad. They actually have like a lot of dudes who are like super talented and local here, and they are just doing stuff that you couldn't even fathom doing when you were riding bikes. So check it out. BMX Day is awesome. It's a great time and just gets you outside, gets you away from scrolling, gets you away from the big flat screen. And go check it out, man. Get some sun. Nitro Circus coming into town too. So that one's gonna be at Pechanga Casino. That one's gonna be nice. I don't know if you guys ever seen Nitro Circus, but like Travis Pastrana, they puts the crew together and they all go do these like Gymkhana based events and they have fun doing it. It's pretty rad. Check it out. So December 6th, I think Pechanga Casino here in San Diego County. Other than that, guys, I'll leave you this. This was one I wrote down earlier. I thought was pretty cool. Mississippi. So God bless Mississippi. All right. They are giving their folks permission to go bounty hunt illegal aliens. I'm not kidding. Go look this up. Go Google this if you don't believe me. Mississippi DA just allowed for the permitting of illegal alien assistance for the department or, border patrol or ICE or whoever. They're basically licensing folks to go out there and illegal alien hunt. That's kind of neat. So if you live in the great state of Mississippi, go get you some illegal aliens. I think they're paying $1,000 a head. If you heard it here first, all right, you heard it here first. Red Rooster Gorilla Channel. If you live in Mississippi, what's going on, Sadell? My man, I'm gonna give you a wave too. I was just telling you this, brother. If you want to go to Mississippi and go hunt illegal aliens, the district attorney of Mississippi just gave the go ahead for the Mississippi folks to go out there and get their permit to help ICE, so they can go help arrest illegal aliens. So I'd love to see those YouTube videos. If you got them out there, if they're out there, share them, tag me in them. Let me see those videos of those dudes out there bounty hunting illegal aliens. I would love to just see Kit. I want to see Kit. I want to see what they're putting on for Kit. Is this going to be like Dog the Bounty Hunter, or is this going to be like I don't know what it could be? But Mississippi, here's your chance. Here's your chance to show us what you would go hunt illegal aliens with. All right, what kind of camo? M81? I don't know. There's lots to choose from, but let me know in the comments below. What would you hunt illegal aliens with if you got a permit to go bounty hunt illegal aliens? What would you wear? I don't know. I haven't even put thoughts to that, but I'd probably just sit home because that's not interesting. I wouldn't want to do that. I could care less. about. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Should we be permitted to go hunt illegal aliens and get $1,000 a head? God, that'd be a cool story, man. It'd be like one of the stories you wrote about, like the Old West. You know, go tracking down these illegals. Wear your cowboy hat, your 6-shooter, you're chasing down illegal aliens. It's a hard life for a cowboy out here chasing illegal aliens. Anyway, you can do it in Mississippi. So go check them out. Go see what they're up to. If you're in the Mississippi area, tag me in those videos. I want to see what that looks like, please. All right. Other than that, guys, that's going to end it. Oh, man, we went a full hour today. So I apologize. Thanks for joining. Again, if you haven't heard, we're going to play this one more time. So we got our sweepstakes going on. That's the whole reason these videos exist right now is we're giving away one free radio right here. Program for repeaters in your area. You could win. We're also giving away, I just showed it off earlier, but I'm going to show it off again for folks that just joined us. Do You Even Comms, bro? That's a sick shirt. You know you want it. And you get Intro to Off-Grid Communications for free. If you don't live in the area, but you want to donate to somebody, we could talk. We'll work that out. We'll figure something out. But you're more than welcome to travel to take the class. But yeah, we're giving that away. It's easy, guys. Tag me, share my stuff, follow me, and then we're going to pick somebody July 11th. We're going to do the randomizer. It's going to pick a random winner that meets those criteria, and we're going to give away all those things I just showed you. So it's pretty easy. It's pretty cool. It's pretty simple. Stay engaged. Let's build this community up, and enjoy the Friday, guys. I'm going to go ahead and sign off and go finish getting buzzed. And stream, and we done.